All right, we're now with the Metro Water Department, and we have council members Pridemore and Stein with us. And Scott, if you would introduce yourself and your colleagues and then make whatever presentation you'd like to make.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. I'm Scott Potter, Director of Metro Water. To my left is Glenn Mizell. To my right is Tony Newmeyer, and back behind me here is Heidi Weigel, with Finance at Metro Water Services. I do have a short presentation. We don't have a whole lot to really report this year. I think my budget presentation and request is going to be pretty straightforward. I'll start with the report of year-to-date financials. We're in good shape. On the water side, we're about 5.5% ahead of budget on revenue, and we are 8.8% under on expense. On the stormwater side, we're tracking almost dead on revenue on stormwater, and we're a little bit behind budget on stormwater, but that catches up at the end of the fiscal year as all the charges come in for the various projects that we do. So in summary, in spite of the winter we had, we've come out of the I guess the third quarter in pretty good shape. Looking at the performance results from last year, a couple things to highlight. Number one is water quality continues to be outstanding, and we don't have any reports where we were unable to meet water demand. We had a pretty hot stretch last summer, and some of the projects that we've done for drought purposes have been very successful, and they've alleviated some of the issues we had back in 2007 when we had the prolonged dry spell. We've done some projects that have alleviated that. We had a good taste and odor season last year. The carbon that we treat with, we've done some research and improved the powdered activated carbon that we use for water treatment. That's been very successful. And the laboratory continues to operate very well. They passed all their federal and state inspections, fully compliant with all regulations. And I'd like to remind the mayor that to produce and deliver 1 gallon of water to a citizen's home in Davidson County is 0.0032 cents per gallon, and to treat a gallon of wastewater is 0.0067 cents per gallon. And we
try to keep those figures in my head.
Yeah, it's we're pretty proud of those two numbers.
Good work. So what's 5 gallons? Good work.
Maybe 5 times those numbers. Without my calculator, I'm defenseless. As far as the budget request goes, we're requesting a 2.6% increase on our O&M budget, and that equals $3 million. And the two fundamental increases are going to be in salaries and benefits. That's $2.8 million for salaries and benefits, and about $300,000 in debt service. We have one other project or program I want to brief the mayor on. That's an additional expense that we'll be able to absorb, but most of our requested increase falls within the salaries and benefits perspective. We are transferring 2 positions from Metro Water Services to OFM. We've increased the size of our fleet a little bit, so our requested number of positions has actually gone down by 2, which is, I think, reflective of our good relationship we have with General Services and Fleet Management. They do really good work for us, and we're more than happy to, with the increasing demand we're placing on them, to, I guess, share the burden of doing the maintenance. So we're very happy about that. Our debt service is going up about $282,000, which isn't significant, but it is a little bit of an increase. And I'd like to mention that Rich and I have already been discussing about once this budget season is over for the government to get together and refine the budget, the department's long-term debt strategy. And I think that'll put us in a good position for the next 5, 10, 30 years. We're going to talk about that after the budget season is concluded. The new program I mentioned is a valve exercising program, and it falls into the category that's one of those things that's not very glamorous about what we do, but we do have over 62,000 valves in our distribution system, and we've established a goal of exercising the transmission valves, which are 24 inches in diameter or larger, every 3 years, and the distribution valves, which are 20 inches and smaller, every 7 years. So that's going to cost about $390,000 a year, and that is an expense that we're going to continue into the future because it makes sense to touch every valve periodically and make sure they're uncovered, they function properly, because it allows us to isolate breaks, as an example, and it ensures we're able to maintain proper water quality, because if you have valves in the wrong position, then the water age is compromised. Next thing I want to talk about is our electronic bill presentment and payment, where we put a lot of effort into advertising that service to our customers. It's a way to avoid getting a bill. It saves us, right now we've got 57,095 web-based accounts, and that saves us about $23,000 a month from having to put them in an envelope and mail them. That's about 24% of our customers, and that number continues to go up, but the more we can talk about it and the more we can get people aware of that service, that it saves us money and it saves the customers time, because their bill is automatically paid by bank draft, so it's much more efficient. So that's been very successful for us in the last 3 years. Biosol facility, I always want to mention that every year. We've had continued success with that. In the last 48 months, we've saved $5 million compared to the previous 48 months. We, instead of having a waste product, we now generate a reusable product, and we save a lot of money in hauling costs with that new program. On the stormwater side, two good numbers to talk about is the home buyout. We've almost concluded the process post-flood with demolishing 223 homes. We have one home left to demolish. They've been turned into green space, and in some circumstances, it's been turned into parks. We're working really closely with the Parks Department to transfer that land as they request it to public use. But if it's not under Parks Authority presently, we mow it and maintain it as open space. So I think that adds to neighborhood character and neighborhood quality of life. Last year we did 200 of the Category C stormwater projects that are essentially operations and maintenance projects, and then we did 127 that were pure capital stormwater projects. So we're still doing a whole lot of projects on the stormwater side, and transitioning to our budget request on stormwater, we're requesting about a 3% increase, which is only $400,000, and that's once again due to salaries and benefits increases. We're going to be able to maintain our level of capital work and O&M work in the city. Water quality, I think, in the watershed continues to improve, and we've shown a lot of national interest in our low-impact development manual. A lot of universities and other cities have contacted Rebecca Doan to understand more about what that program does, and we're really proud of her work in managing that program. Other than that, Metro Water Services we're pleased to continue to serve the city. We're proud of what we do. I can assure the citizens of Nashville that their water is safe to drink, and we're going to continue to be able to make that promise. And that concludes my presentation.
Good, thank you. Can you talk a little bit about, I guess every year we talk some about the creeks and tributaries of the Cumberland and sort of the cleanup process that's been going on with that. Where do we stand now?
As far as the flood, or just
the flood
in general?
In general, in terms of any creek or waterway on the federal list?
The 303D list is a list of impaired waters, and we have a group in the Stormwater Division whose entire job is to get stream segments off the 303D list. We've the next 303D report is due out in 2014, and it will show continued improvement in removing stream segments from the list. The challenges that we face are a lot of historic construction type projects that were done. Browns Creek in Nashville is, I think, our most challenged creek, and it has urban, as an example, it was rerouted, I think in like 1910, 1915. That sort of thing we're going to have difficulty correcting. But as far as having stream segments on the list for bacteria and things like that, we're having great success. And most of that is due to the overflow abatement program, and also it's due to our watershed management program and the stormwater management program. that goes, I think, to our strategy of treating water as holistically, looking at drinking water as a stormwater and a wastewater issue as well, and not siloing them into individual categories.
How many do we have on the list? Do you know?
Well, it's hard to...
Segments, right?
It's segments, but there are a variety of categories that they can be categorized as.
Right.
So, I mean, I've got all that data, but it's one of those reports
Massive.
that
Yeah.
thick.